Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. We are just getting ready to go in order to do this, our first free enterprise race, Friday community race on our free enterprise channel. My name is Natara, and I will be your restreamer for this evening. I'm going to pass it over very quickly to our commentary team, who are Nitsky1 and Moonblaze Wolf. I'll let them intro you while I get the racers started.
Hey everybody, and as Natara was saying, welcome to the new home of the Friday weekly community races here for Free Enterprise. Good place to kick back and relax after a long week of doing whatever it is that you do. My name is Moonblaze Wolf. You can call me Blaze, and I'm really excited to be doing commentary tonight along with Nitsky One for this inaugural weekly community race here on the Free Enterprise channel. We have got last count 26 racers. We were going to be featuring four of them here for you on the restream tonight. And Nitz is here to tell you a little bit about the flags that they're going to be using as we see him get going here with this edge start.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Blaze, and thanks to everyone who has come out to enjoy the race. Just a quick rundown of the flags. It's a modification of the Highway to the Zenith Zone round of 16 flags with a dupes allowed. So we could have, in theory, 5 edges, but I do notice that is not the case right now. Other than that, we do have Edward. If you do pick up Edward, he'll have the spoon to be able to be equipped. Also, we are allowing the Dwarf Castle Warp Glitch, so definitely important for our restream team, or sorry, not our restream team, our running team, as well as all the other racers, all 26, to make sure that they remember um, that they don't have to go into Seal Cave if they don't want to. So shout out to them.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because of the limited character pool to see if they even get a character that's going to be able to use that warp spell. As you can see here, we've got Edge paired with Porum to start with, so I imagine for our racers that White Mage is a welcome sight, but we're going to see hopefully sooner rather than later who the other three available characters are in the pool tonight.
Absolutely. So with the C5 character, sorry, with the C5 flag, there will only be 5 characters. So you will have duplicates. The duplicates could join your party, so that could definitely be interesting for our racers. You could see if there's another edge out there. Definitely,
There is indeed another Edge already in the Baron Inn.
there is. I just caught that myself there. So look for our runners probably to pick up that second edge. You definitely want him in your party. He starts at level 25. He has a lot of hit points, and definitely can do some damage in the early games. So we do see Baka. I think he might be going to take a peek at it now.
He is indeed, and he's going to have to fight this Golbez first. The nice advantage of doing this right away, though, is this actually is kind of a free fight because Golbez is going to whittle your party down to 2 characters, but since you're starting with 2 characters, you don't have to really worry about that Shadow Dragon doing anything to you.
No, exactly. And he only has about 400 HP in this spot. So with Edge in your party in the front row, even with 2 short swords, I should be able to hit him in one shot. And he shouldn't be doing a lot of damage here in regards to that either. As we do see Knight do, he appears to be doing the same thing here to pick up his extra edge there. Though we do have to see who sits behind Golbez in regards to that. So that will definitely be interesting to see here. As we do see Simba doing something a little bit different. He's going to getting some more loot and whatnot. It is T3, so it's a bit more unbalanced, but it's not adamants and Excaliburs and crystal swords just lying about the countryside. So
And we've got Kanazo for that second boss. We'll see how this goes. I do think we'll see if Night Dew's got it here, but I did notice a Ninja Star in one of our players' inventories, so we'll see if they can take this Kanazo down.
yeah, definitely want to at least give it a try. You've come this far.
Absolutely, and Kanazo is going to be he's going to hit pretty hard in this spot, so it's going to be a little bit of a damage race here. Let's see if either of our runners fighting now can go ahead and finish this off. In the meantime, it looks like we have Simbu opting to go to Antline Cave and bypass that for now.
Yeah, and still definitely a totally legitimate and valid play. Who knows? Maybe Crystal is here with the Antline. We've seen that before, so definitely a lot of different ways that our runners can go in regards to that. And if you do have any questions, I do have chat open, so feel free to drop your questions in there. Either Blaze or myself, Nitz, will be happy to answer your questions.
And it does look like Night Dew made it through, and I see a Kanazo hiding on Baka's screen, so it looks like he is also through. So both of them were able to complete that okay on the first try.
And is this even randomized? It's a Baron key.
Well, hopefully not too many of those, because, you know, we want to, when we're randomizing the game, we want to give it a good shake and make sure everything gets elsewhere, so.
You go ahead, Cassidy, go ahead and ask your question in chat. I'd be more than happy to answer that for you, as we do see Simbu get down to the end of the Antline Cave and have the freest fight of all the freest fights in all of Free Enterprise, King and Queen Evelyn. We're just going to hang out. You do a couple of damage, kill the king, and the queen just decides to give up, which is really unfortunate. Question from Natara. She seems to have some sort of green icon. I just missed it. Why are they so cool? Because they commentate Free Enterprise from time to time, and they're a pretty fun person. So I apologize. I had to scroll down chat a little bit there to catch up. And
you just needed to let that question breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
And it looks like Simbu picks up the pass from Antline Cave, so that'll be nice. And he also grabbed some exits along the way. So in good shape there.
So Blaze, just for people who might be new, tell us why the pass is actually probably pretty nice to have.
The pass is nice to have because that is going to give you free access to that Zeromus fight as soon as you're ready through the pub in Toroya, rather than having to go all the way through the Moon Dungeon and out the other end to where Zeromus normally lives in the original version of the game.
For sure. And we do see Baka go up to the top of Hobbs, and is rewarded with another Porum, so perhaps we're headed for Edge Porum here, completionist. Also, thank you, Supremacy, for the 2-month resub and your 2-month streak. The question, what is your opinion on ninjas? I think that they're definitely good early game, and if you can get some better weapons for them and something to throw, Edge is probably amongst the best in the game.
Now, one of the interesting things that I noticed about this flag set when I was looking at it, and we'll see if this kind of happens with our featured runners here, but part of the problem with this flag set, or not problem, but you're pretty limited on good items to begin with the T3 and S2 flags, and then you start throwing in all these duplicate characters. So, you know, if you get one of those really good ninja swords for Edge, or let's say you get a really good piece of armor for your Porum to wear, suddenly you've got this other Porum sitting over there, or this other Edge who just does not have access to that item anymore. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see how our runners handle that bit of potential concern that they might come across there.
Something also that people in chat may not know, with the duplicate characters, believe it or not, Porum and Porum, as it currently sits, can team up and cast Twin, doing some damage. So at least you can get some black magic in there with either Comet or with help me out here, Blaze.
Flare is the other
Flare,
one.
Thank you.
Yeah. In this case, they're identical twin, or in this case, they're identical twins. So.
Yeah.
And just to get caught up on one other thing, Simbu got the white spear for defending the kingdom of Fabul. So not too much help at this point, unless he comes across a cane. Although I do believe Edge can throw that if need be.
He certainly can. So definitely something you'll want to hold on to. You never know when a Keen Sphere can come in handy, or maybe Keen is one of our other characters out there. We're still looking for that 5th character, it appears. With this flag set, it's equivalent to the old. It's kind of a K1.5 flag set, so the key items are spread about the not. I apologize. Nope. With the moon and the summon quest, so they'll have to dive into the Fey March. There could be key items there. They'll have to hang out with K Bahamut. Might be there, so still definitely anybody's race at this point.
And just to catch up on a couple other things I noticed during this run through the Antlion Cave. So there was a longsword, which is a good item for one of those edges. And another interesting thing is our runners came across a heroine robe. That heroine robe might actually allow them to diversify their porums a little bit because it gives really good offensive stats, but only the female characters can equip it. So a porum with a good bow or a good weapon and that heroine robe is going to actually dish out quite a bit of damage, but they're not going to be very good at healing magic. So you can have one of your porums doing the more traditional white mage role, and the other one actually providing some pretty good damage. So we'll see if our runners decide to do that.
Definitely useful strat. Porum can definitely deal some damage, and definitely doesn't hurt. More damage beats less damage as far as the last time I checked. So we do have just a bit of a diversification here. Everybody just going a little bit different directions, but all kind of still sticking to the same path here as we see Baka looting the bottom of the Damcyan treasury here, picking up a Moon Veil. That could definitely come in useful later on.
Indeed. It looks like Simbu's finishing up some shopping. He's also going to check the Kaipo in. Looks like Sid's our third available character, so I think that's the first of our Kaipo checks. I'm also kind of curious to see when any of our featured runners here pull the trigger on going to check that Eblan Cave and see what character is available there.
Yes, amongst all the hype in the beginning, they do have the hook. Nobody has actually gone down to Eblan Cave. I'm not surprised, just based on the fact that it is a C5, but definitely there's a shop down there, so you definitely want to check that out just in case. If people are wondering, normally in a C5, well, what if I don't get a healer? We have Porum in this case, so you definitely will be able to heal. But if you don't, Cure 3s are guaranteed. So definitely something that our runners will still want to be aware of.
Indeed.
Just in case they need that.
Yep, and I noticed Baka jumped into the end of the waterway really quick to check that boss there. Nitz, do you want to explain why that might have been a good idea for him?
So Baka's going on what we would just affectionately like. So with these flag sets, normally you would get a free item from your buddy Edward, who's sitting in Troya Castle taking a nap. But with the no free lunch flag, he's looking for D-Mist, and if you kill D-Mist and then you go to Mist, you get a key item from Rydia's mom who's sunbathing, and that could definitely be the Crystal and be go mode. So he was just checking that real quick and notes out when he sees Odin. He's probably happy to see Odin there. Odin can be a really tough boss in a bunch of different locations, so
Indeed.
Definitely good there.
And that's also the reason we're not getting any of our free character pickups as well. So a couple things affected by those end flags tonight.
There's just a question in chat from couch_23. This game, if you've never seen it before, it's called Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. If you go to ff4fe.com, you can definitely look at things there. You can join. We have a Discord that has over 2,000 members. Lots of newbie guides if you're new. And lots of places that you can go and get some help if you enjoy Final Fantasy IV.
And if you don't enjoy it, we will make you enjoy it.
We do see Neon Gray. They're just going to go and loot in the grass and see if there's anything useful to sell at that point. And we'll just take a quick check of the item shop here, and we do. Neon's going to troll us a little bit and not let us see what's actually for sale.
We haven't really treaded any new ground in a little while here. Notice a lot of shop checks and the runners overlapping. There's a couple interesting plays that we're kind of waiting on at this point. The first is that Eblin Cave that we already mentioned, but also for Nightdew and Baka, they also have access to Baron Castle now. And so that's not a particularly difficult area in theory, especially with two edges. So I'm kind of curious to see when one of them decides to go check that out, because there is another character there as well as a key item.
Absolutely. Neon eventually shows us that the item shop has some ether ones and some exits. So with Porms there, don't really need to pick them up. But if you had a seed where you had no white mage and had no exit, definitely something you'd want to pick up. We do see Baka making an interesting play going into Eblin Castle. Blaze, can you tell me a little bit as to what's going on exactly here? Because I know that this chest does not have a key item.
That's correct, yeah. My guess would be that Baka is looking for some experience and possibly hoping to spike a really good item, because the trap treasure chests in this flag set will contain potentially the rarest loot in the game. So he could be looking for something good for one of his characters, or could just be trying to get some levels.
Thank you, appreciate that. I truly didn't know what was up. We do see Simbu here. He's going to take a peek with the Baron key there as we wait on Baka's reward for all of that hard work that he just did there. Getting those levels. Unfortunately, a silver sword. Not exactly what he was looking for, but...
that's not the epic loot we were hoping for, unfortunately.
No.
But definitely some experience, and we'll also be able to see, assuming he does a few more of these, you'll see him very likely life glitching some of the monsters to gain actually double experience for those spots as well, which could really power him up for that charge through Eblin Cave into the underground, assuming that's what is going to be happening next.
Like life glitching.
Indeed.
Blaze, tell us just a little bit about life glitching, just in case somebody might not know what that is.
Absolutely. So you'll see in one of the upcoming fights, you can actually, for monsters that do not have what we call the boss bit, which is kind of like the characteristic that defines them as a boss in the game, you can throw a life potion on them immediately after they die, and the game thinks you've resurrected them. Unfortunately, the game also has all of the non-boss monsters' vitality stats set to 0, so they immediately die again, and the net result is you gain double XP.
That's definitely useful. I appreciate the explanation there. And again, everybody's favorite, is this randomized? It's Baigen at the Baigen spot. I'm going to have a talk with Board about this lack of randomization in this randomizer here, but it looks as though Simbu's able to take down Baigen with no real problems. A question in chat again from Couch_23. You can participate in these community races. They go on all these times are Eastern. Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern and Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Or you can always watch it here. Follow us on Twitter at FF_FE. And you can always make sure you drop a follow to Free Enterprise here for Fridays and the Randomanias for Mondays.
Indeed.
And to just pop in, if you do want to volunteer to be a commentator or a tracker or such, we do have a form in some of the main channels you can fill out, and then you'll be added to our volunteer room. So you can sign up from there once you are accepted. So do feel free to put in an application. Yeah, listen, words are hard.
Thank you, Natar. Appreciate that very, very much.
We prefer voluntating as opposed to being voluntold that you have to do this, so...
Yeah, it's only fair. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to point out that Simbu is fighting the evil wall in the King Baron spot, and I also noticed that he is doing quite a bit of damage from the back row with his edges. Nitz, do you want to handle that one as far as an explainer?
Sure. So it looks as though Edge seems a little OP. His evil wall crumbles down like a house of cards. He's probably used something that I don't know if board can fix or not, but it's called the back row glitch. So whenever you have a ranged weapon, he has the boomerang, I believe Simbu has. When you equip that on the character, your character gets this back row bit in the background. And when you change your weapon back, it basically doesn't change. So you're able to do full damage from the back row and still only take half damage. So it's definitely a useful skill to have. And Simbu is rewarded with another edge. So I would say at this point, if I'm Simbu, I'm not looking for characters anymore. I'll go with the 2 Porums. I've got 3 edges. I'm ready to go. I just show me some Bacchus wines and life is good.
Yeah, 3 leveled edges are going to be very fast and swarmy, no matter what their weapons look like in terms of taking down Zeromus at the end of the game. So we'll see if the key item also pays off here as he takes the slow walk to the garbage can and ends up with the Darkness Crystal. So that's pretty big for Simbu at this point, about 20 minutes in.
Exactly. It's a progression item. He does have the pass, but can also go ahead and fight those moon bosses now, where there could be the crystal could be at K Bahamut, the crystal could be at Pale Dim, the crystal could be, still a bunch of different locations. Question in chat, Silverfire, you take a 4th edge over a 2nd Porum? Definitely not a bad idea if you wanted. I was just saying, just specifically, I wouldn't be going out of my way to look for another character. If Edge shows up here, I feel like Simbu's going to do that character check, but I'm not, I'm not going to run around. I probably skip Dwarf Castle for now, if I'm Simbu, but we will definitely see what he is up to in regards to that.
Indeed, and looks like Baka is done kind of checking out Eblan Castle and looting there, and now he's going to also be running into Upper Babel. So we will get a check on the character and the boss pretty soon here.
Yes, definitely important to know what you're going to be up against. That way you can try and equip your party accordingly and level them up if needed, because there can be some very, very bosses in this spot here. So again, definitely really important. And as you can see,
oh my gosh, it is a 4th edge and the Magus sisters. So we got quad edge, and this is something it looks likely all of our runners are going to get these 4 edges. So yeah, I hope y'all like edge, because you're going to get a lot of edge tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would not be surprised if Simbu says, well, Porum, we don't really need you to do damage because we have an edge to do damage. So, and unsurprisingly, goes on and continues his way up through Upper Babel. I would anticipate that he's still going to check, and he does run into the monster chest here. These Mad Ogres are going to go down quite quickly. Definitely going to see Quad Zerker, so just basically cast Berserk, or get your Bacchus on and just put the controller down.
Indeed. So we're gonna see Simbu fighting and probably life glitching these Mad Ogres to gain some experience before those 2 boss fights to gain access to the underworld. Meanwhile, Nightdew just took care of the Demon Wall himself, and Neon is about to follow that item path as well here, taking out Baigen in short order.
Absolutely, and will be rewarded with their very own edge as well, bringing them up to 3 edges. I don't think they'll be very mad when they see edge. I don't think any of our runners currently streamed or not streamed are unhappy with the party as it sits.
I mean, I can speak from a runner's perspective and just say the only thing that frustrates you about these kinds of situations is that everybody doing the race is also grabbing those 3 or 4 edges and is going to have an extremely good party just like you.
Exactly. Question in chat, what if you don't use a controller? Well, if you do use a keyboard, Couch_23, you can definitely use a keyboard and emulator to play this game. People have done it. Happy to answer your question.
So an interesting thing that Baka just found, you'll actually see him equipping them right now. Equipping a bunch of mute knives on his edges, and we're about to go fight the Magus Sisters in Upper Babel, so that's gonna be pretty one-sided if I was to guess.
Yeah, even though they're gonna have a lot of HP, they are extremely weak. I believe it's a 4 times multiplier with the mute dagger, so look for Mindy to be crushed very, very quickly there in regards to that.
And it looks like Simbu got a Murasame out of that Mad Ogre chest, so... And Octomom is our first boss here. This could actually be kind of rough, depending on how many swings and who survives this initial onslaught from Octomom.
Yeah, because Octomom is one of the fastest bosses in the whole game. On the beginning game, it's not so bad because Octo's HP is pretty low, and attack power overall is pretty low in the Octo spot. But here, as you can see, even the edges are taking a nap. So
he is able to get Horum back up with that life staff, but this is he's not out of the woods yet here, because Octomom is so fast and is hitting really hard in this King and Queen Eblin spot.
Definitely picked up those illusions, definitely doing a good thing there. While we see that, I see Night Dude making a bit of a different play, going to the Odin spot and running into Free Boss Water Hag.
Ooh, that's a nice find.
Yeah, as long as you can get 3 hits off, because Water Hag is doing work in this spot. Basically one-shot Porum and almost one-shot Edge. Yeah, definitely Couch. I might throw the White Spirit at this point just to get through Octoman. It's a tough one at this point because I believe in this spot. I can't remember off the top of my head how much HP they actually have, but I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah, it's around 7,000 or 8,000, I want to say, and it looks like I think Simbu's kind of got this fight under control now. And yeah, there it goes. Night Dude is rewarded for that Water Hag spot with a crystal, but unfortunately it's not the crystal he was hoping for. It's a crystal ring instead.
Very sad. Yes, the ultimate troll. This game control you sometimes. The crystal ring is still definitely no slouch. It is the best or second best ring, depending on who you speak with. So definitely worth his while. No sense resetting at this point because he does have to go back and do some other things at this point. If it was a worst item, I could definitely see Night do resetting out at that point.
Yeah, he'll be happy to have that later on, no doubt. And now we see Simbu going to take on the Magus Sisters. I think this fight will probably be easier than his first fight, if I was to guess, even though this spot is going to have more hit points than that Octoman that he just fought.
Exactly, because the way that Free Enterprise is coded, even though this would be Rubicant, and I believe Rubicant had about 20,000 HP in this spot, it's divided amongst the sisters, so as you can see there, 5k, no big deal. Just
and he's got at least one of those mute daggers as well, as we see that middle edge hit for about 5,000 damage. So as long as he can keep that that edge with the mute dagger alive, this is going to go pretty quickly, I would suspect.
Yeah, and the damage output in this spot is not that great. As you can see, the other edge that doesn't have a mute dagger only doing about 500. So definitely you want a Geo there for Simbu to be doing some work for you there in regards to that.
Indeed, and we see Neon also checking that Odin spot, and they are also going to pick up a crystal ring here. So nice find for them.
Absolutely. If the game said here's a crystal ring for fighting Water Hag, I'd say not quite what I want a game, but thanks. It appears as though perhaps. Oh no, I was mistaken at first. I thought maybe Simbu might be doing a little bit of a grind against these sisters. He knocked down Mindy there.
Yeah,
I-
Simbu has been known to do some, shall we say, unorthodox boss grinds. I have noticed. So not in this case, but yeah, that's something you can actually do. If you have these bosses where they will bring their minions back, you can actually get more experience from killing them over and over again.
yeah, and definitely for him doesn't take a lot of extra time to do so, and he is through there. So Simbu first to the underground of our restream folks at about 30 minutes in. So definitely a very fast pace, I would say at this point.
Agreed. And now we got Baka in that octopus spot as well. Looks like he hopefully survived the initial onslaught and is going to be able to take this out.
Little more of a challenge, I think, but definitely seems to have things now a bit more under control. Popping those illusions and just whittling them down. When you hit Octomom every 3 times, he loses a tentacle and his speed slows down considerably at that point. But as we can see there, 4 or 5 tentacles left and Octo is down. So definitely no worries there. Night Dew is finding an extra edge. Be very happy about that. Neon checking the Agart item shop and a little bit disappointed. Cure 2's not the end of the world, but definitely not what you're looking for. Interesting play here for Simbu going into Dwarf Castle. I'm wondering if he's just checking the item shop. It's probably just on the look for sirens, I would guess at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think any of our runners have found those sirens yet. And there's another mute dagger in the pot there for him. But yeah, once you find that underground access, you get a lot of options there in terms of what you can do next. It looks like he's just going to go ahead and see what the weapon shop has to offer. With this many edges, you want to get them well equipped with hopefully long swords. I think that under S2, you should be able to find long swords in a shop, but you're not going to get any better than that. Long swords are quite good, though, so I'm sure if they do find those, they're going to be pretty happy.
No, exactly. And Tiara in the item shop. I didn't realize Tiara was an S2 item, but there you go.
It is indeed.
And that is one of the best headpieces for Porum, so definitely we'll want to equip that.
Yep, there's a question in chat. I know we've been using some of the flag terminology. So when we're talking about loot in shops, the flags are T3, which is very good loot, but not the best loot, all randomized through the treasure chests. And then S2 is a balanced shuffle of basically average to slightly above average items. If you think about things in terms of tiers 1 to 4. So that's what S2 means, is it's dictating what level of weapons are going to be available in shops. So generally speaking, you're going to find better equipment in treasure chests, but you're going to have to hunt for it, and you'll still get kind of all the essentials in the shops.
Absolutely. So we do see here Neon. They're making an interesting play. They're going to go to the moon, while everybody else is going to stick with the underground. The Cure 3s and the cabins were in Tamra, for those of you playing the bingo game at home. Definitely important to have those along. Definitely important to have cabins as well, so I would expect Simbu to potentially stock up if he hasn't already. I didn't see initially. But curious to see what Neon is going to do first. Here, peek the character, look at maybe Bacchuses and Sirens on the moon, maybe?
Yeah, there's definitely some options here for Neon. I mentioned the heroine robe earlier, and I'm assuming Neon has that. That item is actually pretty durable, and it would not surprise me if a heroine robe wearing Porum was able to withstand a lot of the punishment that you would see from the types of monsters and the quality of monsters that you would find on the moon. So I don't see any reason why Neon couldn't just kind of go for some boss spots and see what else is going on here on the moon. But we might also just be getting that shop and character check. There's those Sirens and Bacchuses. Those are both really good finds for them as well.
Definitely huge. Neon is ready to go. Now, there are a couple of options at this point. Neon could grind on the moon, potentially. I know they picked up hourglasses earlier. Why would hourglasses be so useful on the moon, Blaze?
Well, hourglasses are really good just in a variety of areas, but particularly on the moon, they're going to stop the types of monsters that you're going to be running into, particularly when you use those sirens as well. And then you can wail on them without worrying about getting beaten back. So, allows you to basically just cheese some monsters early on that you wouldn't be able to necessarily kill till much later in the game.
And get a lot of experience for it. Unfortunately, we see a very unfortunate wipe for Nightdew there. Octomam proving that he's no slouch, that's for sure.
And that's just tough. That's a really difficult spot, really fast, hits really hard, and if you get the wrong sequence at the beginning, that's very, very possible. So he's going to go ahead and give it another shot here and hopefully have some better results. Meanwhile, Neon finds Yang on the moon as our fourth available character. So Yang is kind of nice. Doesn't require a lot of equipment and can do a lot of really good damage at the end of the game. So probably pretty welcome for Neon in this case. And also just to kind of catch up on what's going on the other side of the race here, Baka and Simbu both picked up the Adamant from the free key item chest in Feymarch.
Baka, looking at two moon bosses here with these stars, decides to go with the Leviathan boss and is greeted with 2D lunars and quickly decides, no, maybe that's not for me.
Oh, and then Simbu finds Wyvern with a Fire 2 opening because we have our Witchburn flag on. So thankfully not going to be opening up with that awful Mega Nuke, but unfortunately in a party with everybody having 1 hit point, Fire 2 does a pretty good Mega Nuke impression.
Yeah.
And we see Nightdew get through that Octomom second try, no problem. So good for him there.
Yeah, he did some rearranging of his characters. It's important to know in this game, the way it was originally coded, Cecil, your main protagonist, who we haven't seen at this point, would handle the agility for the character's speed. Otherwise, the game takes who's in the middle slot. So if his edge was really fast relative to his other characters, that could have been also reason why he wiped Octo there. So I think he just moved a slower edge into that.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. And especially when you go into that fight for the first time, you don't know what the boss it's going to be. So a lot of times you do end up needing to do a reset and, kind of sort things out from there.
Yeah. We do see Simbu taking a look at the free item there in the self-cave. He's going to go back and probably talk with Sheila, aka Yang's wife, in regards to that, as we see Baka is at Dwarf Castle? No.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. He is at
It's Dwarf Castle. Yep.
This is not going to be easy. Val has a pretty high magic defense in this spot, and also casts weak, which is annoying more so than anything else. Although he is doing some damage, it's not a lot, like 150, 600. It's going to be a bit of a slog at this point. We'll definitely see how that goes on there.
I imagine he'll be able to take care of that. And yeah, sure enough, Neon doing some grinding there on the moon, and sure enough, you see that Porum in the middle slot doing massive amounts of damage with those items that we were talking about.
Yeah, and Edge getting off the life glitch. So Neon, because Neon doesn't have 10 key items yet, they don't get the double experience bonus that we have in these flags, but 90,000 experience, still a lot of experience. Pretty easy fight.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of levels gained here just off of probably a couple fights here for Neon. So should be able to kind of take on the whole moon after this if they want to.
pretty much. I would expect at this point that Neon is going to stick with this party. 14 levels is definitely nothing to slouch at. Yang in the beginning is pretty weak, but as soon as he gets some levels, he really scales. He scales up in HP and he scales up in power. So you can already see at level 36, he's got 2400 HP. It's
Indeed.
ridiculous.
And I missed what the first Sheila item was. I know Simbu went to check it, but it doesn't look like it was actually a key item because I don't see anything new lit up on the tracker there. But now we see Simbu going to the moon as well. Oh, and Baka gets a Fusoya as the 5th available character at Dwarf Castle. So that is actually going to be pretty interesting for a variety of reasons. Let's make sure first that he can take down this Ogopogo in the Golbez spot.
Yeah, on the good side, Ogo only has 3000 HP. On the bad side, Big Wave still does half damage to him. Though Fu was able to dodge that Big Wave. So kudos to Fu there.
Just too strong. So, and now the really interesting thing, because Baka hasn't even had a chance to really look at Fu's spell list yet, but if he has Warp, we're going to see the Warp glitch, probably, if he remembers that is on for this flag set.
Well, quickly Neon realizing that the gauntlet is at Bahamut. So we'll definitely see how this goes. While we see the Golbez Hand of Doom go up and steal the crystal. The color of the hand is based on the sprite that you fight, in this case, the red one. Because
It is a true lobster hand tonight.
It truly is.
Oh, and didn't go for the warp glitch, so hopefully that won't be an issue later on. But and it gets the Luca key anyway, so and
no, he did it in the different. I've seen some people do it first and then get the item. I've also seen them do it that order. So
okay,
that
we're
worked
good, yeah.
For Rat Tail, which he now doesn't have to worry, although we're still in a potential dragon mist hunt. So that could definitely, if D-Mist is there, that's a tough one at this point. It's a key item, so we want to go out, but definitely might want to check it later in regards to that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Tifa's Revenge, there is still one character left outstanding. We've seen Edge, we've seen Porm, we've seen Yang, we've seen Fu, so there could still potentially be a Riddy out there.
We did see a Sid earlier in the Kaipo bed, so we do have all 5 accounted for.
Oh, that's right, I apologize.
But yeah, and we see Neon continuing the gauntlet fight here. Noticed had to use an hourglass to get things under control with that first one, but I imagine shouldn't really have any trouble overall. And Simbu, meanwhile, is back underground. Must have found those sirens and is back to grind some levels here.
Exactly. Thanks, kind and nerdy housewife. I had forgotten about Sid. I tried.
We only saw part of his head, so don't feel too bad.
Thank you.
And I think Baka is going to show us what that Sheila 1 item is, since it sounds like everybody missed it the first time.
Yeah, nobody has gone back at this point. Although, Baka, he decided to take a different airship. Totally legit.
Well, you got to get your hovercraft if you want to check that rat tail, so I think we're going to see a couple new checks here from Baka.
Yeah. Again, Neon just playing it safe here. These, Bahamut has a lot of HP, so even though it's divided Extreme characters, still a lot of HP for each fight, and I definitely approve of the safety here. You don't want to wipe on this and have to do it all over.
Indeed, and it's also possible too that they did the grind portion, and then there's no save point in Cave Bahamut, so they may not have been able to save as well. We saw a ribbon, the rat tail turn into a ribbon, which will be nice, but probably not the item that Baka was really hoping for, and now going to check Fabul for that Sheila item as well.
Yeah. First, just taking a dip into the gift shop. has to sell some stuff, and notices that nothing of use there, not realizing that the real goods are actually on. Yeah, Ribbon's couch, some people tell me they're a really good headpiece, some people tell me they're trash. I truly still. We see Simbu still doing some grinding here with the quad edge. Definitely approve of that. Night Dew running into Wyvern here, surviving the Fire 2. And,
the awful, horrible Fire 2.
Yeah.
Oh, but then...
No, decided no, I'm not ready.
May have just been checking what boss it actually was, since those lunar bosses are ambiguous and share the same sprite, so...
Yeah.
Doing some research.
No, definitely a quick check there and a quick exit. No more than about 30 seconds used there. I definitely approve. I wish someone would never mind. I was gonna say check Sheila one, but they already did. So.
Yeah, we're all watching here with anticipation. Although Neon also, I thought that was the last fight of the gauntlet, but they've got one more. So we're gonna see 2 new items here, at least to us, momentarily. So that'll be good to see.
Absolutely. So we'll take this minute and just say shout out to Natara, restreamer for this evening. Smapity behind the scenes, clicking the buttons to make sure you know which of our featured streamers have what, and also shout out to all of our streamers. Thank you so much, Scala, Neon Gray, Baka Shinobi, Simbu, and Night Dew for definitely putting themselves on display. It takes a lot of courage to do that.
And it was the crystal from Sheila 1 was the crystal, so no wonder we see Simbu down here grinding. We got go mode.
Must have missed that. Well, it happens sometimes. It's unfortunate for Neon in this case, because if this leads down a trail like Twin Harp, Earth Crystal at this point, they might be okay. It's a Bahamut summon at Bahamut.
Unfortunately, we know there's nobody to use that Bahamut summon night.
And Valiant K Bahamut, you're welcome.
Again,
nice
is this even randomized?
Yeah, nice little Easter eggs that nice enough to put into this random. Tons of vanilla to Vanilla Baigan, Vanilla Baron Key, Vanilla Bahamut, like. It's interesting with Moon Access though that Simbu has decided to continue to grind these eggs.
I think in his position with not having a super high level party or a really obvious strategy, I would say for fighting those gold dragons on the moon that we saw Neon fighting earlier. The play to fight the eggs, to scramble some eggs in the underground, seems very reasonable to me, because you're not going to be getting enough experience per fight, but the fights themselves are going to go super fast.
That's very true. It's just with only 34,000 experience, even I might consider going to the moon just because you get 90. Even though it might take initially a little bit longer, and just because Porum's HP doesn't scale very well. Porum is a great white mage, but her HP just unfortunately doesn't cut the mustard, and to be able to survive those big bangs, you want to make sure she's as close to 2,000 as possible.
I agree, and it's kind of interesting. We're going to see some very stuff here from Baka versus Simbu, because they both actually have go mode, but they have it in a different form. So Baka has the crystal and the pass, while Simbu has the crystal and the darkness crystal. So Baka is actually missing out on quite a bit by not having that darkness crystal, because we know that Sirens and Bacchus wines, which he is definitely going to want with those 3 edges in his party, those are going to be eluding him unless he figures out that darkness crystal is available. And it's also going to make it very difficult for him to gain the levels that he wants to get to that final fight and get through it safely.
Exactly. We do see Knight do it. Looks as though he is going to make the play, and he is going to be rewarded for going to the moon, taking a couple of minutes out here. He's going to find those Bacchuses. He's going to find those Sirens. He's probably going to jump for joy if he can nail down Hummingway there. It's going to turn into a bit of a couch sales-a-thon here at this point. Knowing he's also in go mode, he's going to sell the stuff he doesn't want and going to load up on everything that he can.
Yeah, it's nice when you know your party's all set, or you know that you've got the characters that you need, and you can just kind of sell the items that you don't want. And load up on stuff like Bacchus Wines and Sirens, because I imagine we're going to see him doing something similar grinding-wise.
Question in chat from Happy. I don't think it might be a Baccha door grind. He might be, yeah, so it is the door grind. I was wondering if he was reconsidering D-Miss there to go look for, but he's going to grind Crap Drawers, which is definitely interesting in its own right. Definitely a low-stress grind in regards to that, but his edges just have, unfortunately, some lower quality offensive gear, so it's going to make this a little tough.
It's a pretty difficult spot to be in for Baccha because there aren't really a lot of good options for grinding if you don't have Sirens and you don't have access to the moon. So I think he's just trying to make the best of a bad situation, but it is not going to be it's not going to be nearly as efficient as what you're going to be seeing Simbu and Knight do, and honestly what Neon did earlier as well.
Exactly. And they're all valid strategies. It's a matter of what you got. You take a butter knife to a gunfight, and unfortunately, it's tough. It's tough. Baccha's definitely in a tough spot. You're in go mode. You want to make sure you get those levels as fast as you can. So he's just trying to go out there, do what he can. Maybe pick up some better items. Maybe there'll be something here in Steel Cave that will definitely help out his team there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no wrong way to grind. It's just choosing the best option from the ones that you have available to you, for sure.
Exactly. I mean, except Clapper grind. Nobody wants to do that.
That is true.
And this officer is really just it's a tank officer for Neon. I feel very bad for them. It's just
Unfortunately, what happens, so what Neon did here was use hourglasses to freeze the monsters that they were fighting. Unfortunately, with this particular monster set, which is the guards that will attack you at the Kaipo Inn, the officer has about, I want to say, 75 to 80% of the hit points for the pool. So you can freeze them all down and take out those first three really easy, but then you're just going to be whacking on that officer for a while. And we see Neon finally take the officer down. No problem, just took some time there. And is going to be rewarded with plenty of levels, and this is a double key item spot as well, so...
And Excalibur Magma.
Indeed.
Hopefully, we'll see if that will turn Neon inward back to the earth. Perhaps yes, perhaps no.
That's true. And we see Simbu going to the final fight here. So, Nitz, do you wanna lead us into the Zeromus fight tonight?
Sure thing. So, whose butt are we going to kick tonight, chat? So Simbu has decided that he's ready. He's good to go. We're going to see what happens. The Zeromus fight, basically using the pass as a shortcut to the final boss. You don't have to basically run down to the dungeon with the Darkness Crystal and go through about 9 different floors and all this other nonsense. I want to see a new sprite. There are 365 sprites from our amazing Scala Kitty, who handles all of the sprites here for Free Enterprise, and we are going to see Quad Zerker. However, We're going to see Quad Zerker with a twist, I feel, because Simbu did not go to the moon and get Bacchus wine. So I'm definitely curious to see how this is going to.
Oh, he does have a stack of Bacchus wines. It looks like, because he got those sirens as well. But yeah, this is going to be a textbook Zerker fight. If you're familiar with the different ways that you can defeat Zeromus at the end of the game, a Zerker strategy is one where you're going to take all of your melee characters, have them drink a Bacchus wine or cast Berserk on them, and then just sort of let them wail on Zeromus. And there's a lot of advantages to that. Oh my goodness, what do we got here?
It's Yeti.
We got the Yeti-miss. Yeti-omus.
That's very nice. So I believe as part of AGDQ, there was a bid war for the final Z-Sprite, and I believe this was one of the finalists. So I have never seen it before.
Me either. This is fantastic.
This is awesome work, Scala. So as you see there, Edge is doing damage. Porum is going to use that Silk Web to try and slow down Zeromus now. Just for everybody in chat, it is a fabulous sprite. Zeromus still acts the same, so you're not going to see Yeti throw snowballs or anything at our characters here.
He doesn't have a t-shirt cannon.
No. Unfortunately, with a big nuke roll against Edge, and one of the edges is down, so this could be a little dicey, but the other edge is hopefully picking up the slack.
I mean, the interesting thing that happens with some of these flag sets, and particularly this one with a C5, with the no dupes. So obviously, this is a very uncommon party to be fighting Zeromus with, and it might seem like on paper you have a really good fight and you have a really good strategy, but you still got to get in there and do it. And if it's not the way you're used to fighting Zeromus, like in this case with 4 edges that are basically just barely above the level that you would maybe hope them to be at to survive a Big Bang, a full-powered Big Bang, and a Porum that it looks like doesn't even know Cure 4 yet. So this is definitely an interesting call. We'll see how Simbu can handle it.
Simbu's thinking was probably 4 edges. Someone's going to make this move, so I better try and make this move before somebody else does. Definitely doing some work there, but those are like 1600. I feel like they need to be doing a little more, but we will definitely see this shake. We'll see if Simbu is going to attempt to nerf those Big Bangs, because I feel like if he doesn't, Porum is going to be down, and potentially one of his edges will be down. It's tough to say.
Yeah, I would say the moment of truth is coming up here very quickly for Simbu. One of the nice things about the Berserker strategy in this case is his edges are basically going to clog the action pool with those attacks, so it really does slow the boss down quite a bit. The question is just going to be, is it going to slow the boss down enough to get, in this case, Yeti-miss to Meteor phase before they can get off a full-powered Big Bang, which is exactly what happened just now.
And we will see those numbers. And
the White Mage did survive. That's probably thanks to that crystal ring, if I was to guess.
Yep. Like, Porum only took about 1,000 there, so props to her. But at this point now Yeti becomes a little bit faster because those edges aren't throwing attacks into the queue, so as you see that shake there, this is definitely definitely clinch time. He is into phase 2, Couch, but it's still clinch time. Because getting all these life spells off and doing all this stuff, and these Cure 3s are not doing a lot. Cure 3 and Porum definitely good there in regards.
Hopefully Porum can have another nice dodge again. We'll see here. Porum does survive again, but this is, yeah, you gotta kind of chip away at this point, and it gets pretty dicey when you only have that one character left.
Yes, but we see Simbu continue to try in regards to that. It is definitely stressful, and yeah, that nuke is probably. this is, geez,
It's not over. It's not over till it's over. I mean, if anybody can get out of this situation, Simbu can. But this is not how you want your Zeromus fight to be going at this point. So, so we'll just kind of see if he's able to recover this.
He might pull it off. Simbu is one of the top runners. Like
Absolutely. And really, you just need to kind of get enough damage onto Zeromus to tip him into that Meteor, and then you're probably going to have a chance to finish it off. He's probably going to need to get through at least one more Big Bang intact here, and then we'll see after that. Does get Porum back up to full health, so this is actually looking pretty good at this point. I think might be okay as long as can get through this next Big Bang.
Yeah, he might be in the same situation he was just in. Porum surviving, and maybe.
Oh, that
no.
was a huge roll.
Yeti pulling no punches.
Oh man, yeah, that was tough. Good effort there by Simbu, but just that was asking probably a little bit too much of that Porum.
Yeah, 1800, which normally would not be the end of the world, but Yeti missed there, taking down a victim, undefeated.
Retains the belt for now, and we see Simbu going to go get and just to catch up everybody on what else has been going on, looks like Nightdew's still doing the level grind. Baka has actually switched gears and is doing some bosses now, so got through all the trapdoors in Sealed Cave, or decided to go try something different, and now we see him just finished off the D-Lunars, and now is fighting Wyvern in the Land of Summon Monsters. And Neon is still working their way through the Lunar bosses, it looks like. Has picked up Legend Sword, has picked up Pinktail, so getting some stuff, just not what they're looking for, unfortunately.
I have checked it at this point, Kinda Nerdy Housewave. Nobody else has finished. We would definitely let you know somebody off stream finish. Regards to that, I note that Baka doesn't have the Lunar Whale, so is having to take this bit of an unorthodox route to level up his foo and to get more levels on his characters there. While we see Neon, I feel like we're going to see a full clear Neon at this point. When you're committed, like when you decide to go Moon, usually you have to commit the whole way, otherwise you never know what might happen. So
agreed there, and they're doing a really good job working through bosses. They're no joke, and definitely challenging when you have maybe a little bit of an unorthodox party like this, or not your ideal situation necessarily.
Exactly. Nightdew is looking at it closer. I think Nightdew's just like, I need my point to be able to survive a full powered Big Bang, because I think he's just gonna go try Zerker, and so he's just gonna grind up a little bit more in regards to that, and it looks as though Simbu's gonna do the same.
Yeah, and this is gonna actually make this pretty close, I think, because Nightdew's a little bit ahead at this point, but only has the 3 edges as opposed to 4, so.
For sure, and we do see Baka going through the tower. He's gonna hit Tower Key. He's gonna hit these monsters. He's hoping for some better gear at this point, I think.
Agreed. And I think the other thing that I like about what Baka, when you're in a situation like this and you're trying to get XP, you got to really take into consideration all the different sources. And one of the things that we haven't talked about yet is if you get up to 10 key items, it actually doubles all the XP that you get from encounters. If you look at Baka's tracker, he is actually at 7 right now because the pass doesn't technically count as a key item. But he's doing Tower right now, which is going to give him 2 more checks and potentially get him just almost to that 10 key item threshold.
For sure, definitely. If I'm in Baka's situation, I probably do something similar. in regards
Agreed.
to that.
And also, just to let everybody know, from off stream, we do have a first place finisher. It looks like Kobahi is finished with a time of 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 30 seconds. So GG to Kobahi. And it looks like Simbu and Naitu are both about ready to go and give it in Simbu's case, another shot. And in Naitu's case, give it a first attempt here.
Tifa, I can answer that question. Rat Tail turned into Ribbon, which is useful or not useful. And GG to Kobahi. 103.30 is definitely a good time. Simbu would have had it just so close. Probably just, I wasn't doing the specific math, but it had to have been really, really close to get him into medio phase.
Yes, Simbu would have finished if without that wipe, he would have at about the 1 hour mark, and unfortunately just couldn't quite tip Zeromus into medio phase before that last giant Big Bang came out. And we see Naitu going for it now. Looks like Simbu is ready to give it another go as well, doing equipment, and headed back up to Toroya.
Absolutely. So a race for second place is on at this point. Yes, unfortunately, Kobahi just got, unfortunately, a really large Big Bang roll. Yeti missed there, pulling no punches, and took them all down. What can you do? It happens. So definitely hyped here for this second place matchup coming up here. Simbu and Naitu. Simbu
And again, just to reiterate, this is going to be super close between Simbu or Edges 3. So even though Naitu is starting the fight a couple seconds earlier here, Simbu is not out of this at all.
No, exactly. So here comes round 2 for Simbu, round 1 for Naitu. And you'll see the difference as Simbu comes up here with quad edges. You're just going to see the queue for Zeromus get just jammed up. It's going to be a little freer for Naitu. He's got a little more safety involved as he is presented with the Edimus and is wondering probably what in the world have I done here?
Could be wondering where he can go get some high quality t-shirts as well.
For sure. For sure. Thank you, Kobahi, so much for the sub. We appreciate it. Welcome to Team Free Enterprise. Enjoy your 17 of 7. Spam that wherever you want to. Drugstore, convenience store, grocery store, Twitch. I'm waiting for the 17 of 17 t-shirt, personally speaking. And we see Neon just going after some dark imps here. So that shouldn't be too tough there. We do see Naitu here take a nerf Big Bang, and people ask, well, how can you nerf this Big Bang? For the first Big Bang, as long as you get an item that will cause a counter by Zeromus, or Yetimus in this case, it basically resets his spell power to a much lower amount. I can't remember off the top of my head what that's reset to, but it's much lower, and that's why the damage that he outputs after that is much lower. But that's only for the first Big Bang. After that, it's a much tighter window to nerf those Big Bangs.
Indeed. So yeah, usually what you'll see a lot of runners do is they'll use a Silk Web during that initial battle phase to not only nerf that first Big Bang, but also slow Zeromus down significantly. But any spell or any item that elicits that nuke response will work. So
you can even use the crystal again if you'd like.
That is true.
It's a bit slower because the animations, but definitely not a bad choice there. You do see here with Naitu with the safety having 2 Porums, definitely to his advantage, and with Cure 4, in a little bit of a safer spot here. But now with Simbu's form having Cure 4 definitely healing up, I think it's just going to be a DPS race here for for second place here.
Yeah, absolutely. Got some more subs coming in. Thanks, Smake D. Thank you, DJ8D. Enjoy your time here at the Free Enterprise channel. We're going to have lots of events coming up, not just the weekly community races. There's going to be World Series of Free Enterprise events coming up very soon, and I'm sure we'll talk about those a little bit more after the Zeromus fights are done here on the stream.
Absolutely. A bunch of hype. Go to ff4fe.com for all your needs. And if you want to learn, join the Discord. Hang out with us. People love to chat about Free Enterprise pretty much 24/7. It's a worldwide phenomenon. So definitely
Indeed.
come and join.
Yep.
We see some dart strats from Nightdew there. Definitely not a bad play. Want to do a little more damage there. If your other edges don't have good equipment and you got stuff to throw, might as well throw that stuff. You don't need it anymore.
Yep, just pushing through those the damage, trying to nuke Big Bangs, it looks like, as well. I noticed a hard cast slow there from Porum for Nightdew, so just wanted to keep the team standing at this point. And Simbu also looks like he's in much better shape this second go-around as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Edge took that counter nuke on Nightdew's stream and still standing. Cure 4 for him, and he's pretty much back to full power. And even though big hits there, but you can see the difference in HP, definitely helping him out there, allowing him to survive. So this is getting very, very close.
Yep, we're looking for rocks to fall here. That final phase just starts spamming Meteo over and over again. Neither of our runners here is to that point yet, but they're both closing in for sure.
Nope, yep, kind of nerdy. You can join whatever tables you want. You can join whatever qualifiers you want in regards to that.
Oh, and Simbu's Porum goes down. Now he's really up against it here because all of his edges, as far as I can tell, are berserked. Although that black hole comes at just the right time, he might have a small window here to regain control of them and get his health back up before another Big Bang comes out.
Yeah, you can definitely see the difference in having two Porums. Might not do as much DPS, but definitely a lot safer. Just in case if one of Nightdew's Porums takes a nuke to the head.
Ooh, Simbu holding on by a thread as he hits Meteo phase, and he's still leaking health from Big Bangs. Oh, saves that one edge with 2 hit points left. Would have been dead in one more tick, and I think he's gonna be able to take this home now because Meteo shouldn't be able to do that much damage, but he needs to get his DPS going here again.
Absolutely.
Ooh, this is white knuckle Zeromusing, everybody.
Strap in. It's gonna be a close finish. At this point, when you reach Meteo phase, Zeromus has at max 12,000 HP, so he just needs to burn through a little bit there. He has a full powered edge. I anticipate. Well, I
Couple more swings here, but this is getting close, and Nightdew's hot on his heels here.
Yeah, and Nightdew's in Meteo phase as well.
Oh, there Simbu gets it, so was able to finish that off very, very close there. Good Zeromus fight from both of our runners here, and Simbu just wins by a nose.
Yes, and there we go. Nightdew,
yeah, there's Nightdew as well.
Finishing off. Show here official SRL times for Simbu in a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 30 seconds. And Nightdew finishing in 3rd place with a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 45 seconds. GG to both Simbu and Nightdew. I believe we're going to pull one of them in here for an interview at this point. 15 seconds, extremely close, as you saw there. GG to both of them. What a show.
That was really, really exciting to see, and even that second Zeromus fight from Simbu, just holding on by a thread there at the end. So well done finishing that off. Gotta not panic in those kinds of situations. And Night Dew kind of a little more smooth and steady to the finish. Also very well done.
Absolutely. So I believe we have Simbu in, and we also have Night Dew also coming in. So GG to Simbu, second place. Excellent work there on the second try. Tell us what you thought about the seed.
I wish there were a few more weapons for Edge in it, but I guess Mute Daggers will work.
It's a little bit of a double-edged sword having all of those edges, right?
Well, I wanted to do 5 edges, but I couldn't find a 5th one.
There's one at the Tower of Zod. Had you gone there?
Okay.
I know. Hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
Night Dew, how about from your perspective? What were your initial thoughts on the seed?
You mean other than the Darth of Ninjas? I was kind of a little disappointed to see that Baron key. I felt like I kind of should have dove it, and I'm like, well. But I mean, otherwise, it's, you know, after 2 forearms, 4 edges, you just kind of felt yourself locked into. You didn't really have a great grind opportunity other than eggs, and I'm like, you know, I was just hoping for like 1 Rivers. Did we ever figure out who? I know I saw Sid in the Kaipo bed. Did we ever figure out who the other 2 characters were?
We did see all 5. Yep, it was Yang and Fu Soya was the 5th one.
Oh, I'd have killed for a Fusoya.
And it was interesting. He decided to join up right at Dwarf Castle right when you needed him with that warp spell.
That was entirely why I held off of Dwarf Castle.
I was just about to say you would have had to have fought a couple of fairlies.
So I have a question, Simbu. So those were 2 really close, really intense Zeromus fights, and Night Dew probably doesn't know that you actually wiped a Zeromus once, but we were all watching, and it was really, really close. What was going through your mind, I guess, in both of those fights? Just for the first one, when unfortunately you couldn't save it, and then the second one when you were able to kind of right the ship and push it over the finish line.
For the first one, I didn't really like the decision to go that early. Unfortunately, I sold my samurai bow, so my grinding was super slow. And I thought, oh, if I can just have enough DPS to cause the phase change right when I need it to, then maybe I can get through this and get a really, really nice finish time. Unfortunately, I just had just a hair bit on the low side as far as HP totals and rolls and stuff, so that I wasn't able to get through everything as quickly as possible. For the second fight, that's one of the problems with having the quad Zerker setup, is if I could have grinded a little bit faster, I would have grinded a little bit more. And then, of course, I went in 1 level before Porom learned Pure 4, which would have helped a lot. Just the teeny tiny things. You can't get lucky with all of it, but it was unfortunate. I just knew that fight had went pretty well as far as the early part, so there wasn't any choice but to go and grind some more.
No, exactly. It was definitely a close race. Kobayu won. He had his point roughly about the same level of hit points as yours. So I think he just got lucky, and you just had a really big, like a full force big bang there that wiped everyone, which was really unfortunate. But it definitely made for a great race for second. That's for sure.
Yeah, high drama, no doubt. And then Night Dew, I would say your fight, aside from the fact that it was 3 edges and 2 Poroms, was a bit safer, a bit more traditional. You were grinding for quite a bit, though. What was your thought process as far as? I mean, obviously you're grinding. I think before Kobahi finishes first, but then you got to balance safety with trying to get through the fight, but also wanting to get that good time. So, what was the end of the game like for you?
I mean, it all kind of goes back to the grind. I tend to usually run a much safer Zeromus, and the thought did cross my mind at about 1,400 hit points there that, at Drakir 4, I'm like, I could, do like perfect nerf strats, but at this point, I'm thinking, well, hey, at this point, let's just kind of lock it in, because my edge's damage, I was barely one-shotting eggs at the end there. It was an agonizing grind, honestly. So it was more of a DPS consideration as opposed to a survival, but yeah, I did opt for a lot of more safety there.
I see. Had you ever thought, Nightdew, at any point to just run up to the moon, go to K Bahamut, and just grind on King Ryu's with those sirens? I'm just curious if that crossed your mind.
I'm sorry, say that one more time, please.
No problem, Nightdew. I just wondered, when you were in Go mode, you had the chance to basically go up to the moon. You could have grinded against King Ryu's, which would have given a bit more experience versus the eggs. I just wondered if that had crossed your mind at that point.
After the fact, after I realized I did have a stack of Artemis arrows sitting around, my whole thing at that point was 3 ninjas, 2 white mages, no weak.
Fair enough. I was just curious, just because you were grinding for quite some time there.
I will say we saw Neon grinding on those Artemis arrows, and it was a sight to behold. It went pretty efficiently from everything we could tell.
Any final thoughts from either of you on this? Again, second and third, great job in regards to that. Hello?
No,
I
think
guess-
I'm good.
I guess the people wanted all ninjas, they got all ninjas, and even it makes the front of the game really fast. I don't know how many people went down to Odin to get that water hag.
There was just you and Neon actually did. It was nice to see a free water hag there for sure.
No, absolutely. Even if it just was a crystal ring, which was kind of nice. But yeah, I think that's everything. So I'm actually just gonna go get some dinner, and good luck to everybody still running.
Well, thank you, and thanks for stopping by again. Our second and third place finishers, Simbu and Nightdew, thank you so much for joining us for post-race commentary, and enjoy your food and enjoy the rest of the race.
GG's to both of you. Good job. And it looks like we've got Baka Shinobi going for the Zeromus fight now as well. And Neon is still looking for that crystal.
Still looking. In the interim, while we were having those post-race interviews and commentary, we have Chuck Kasura finishing in 4th place with a time of 1:14.42, so just not too far behind our featured streamers. Error finishing in 5th place with a time of 1:16.26, and Poidrak finishing in 6th place with a time of 1:18.45, and Zyrak finishing in 7th place with a time of 1:23.16. So GG to all of them.
A little extra love for Poidrak with the resubscription to the Free Enterprise channel as well. So double GG's to you there, sir.
Thank you. Welcome back to Free Enterprise. Hope you enjoy your stay with your 2-month sub streak. Looking forward to the 3rd month coming soon. As we see, we're going to see a bit of a probably different strategy from here, from Baka, but maybe not, because one of his edges has taken a nap.
Yeah, I missed the very first part of that. I'm not sure. I bet what happened was that Edge took the counter nuke from the initial Silk Web and then a Big Bang right afterwards. but shouldn't be anything that he can't recover from here.
Exactly. Thank you. Also, just really quickly, thank you, Nightdew, for the Twitch Prime sub. Welcome to Free Enterprise. Enjoy that 17 of 17. Appreciate the support. He's able to, Baka's able to get his other edge back up there. We do see a Cure 2 used. That's going to be tight. That edge might go down again. Waka waka, as Fozzie Bear would say.
Nitz, did you just say 17 out of 17? Because that sounds fantastic. Post-race celebration on a Friday night.
Absolutely. This is why I come and do the commentary on the Fridays, for all of your 17 of 17 action.
I like it.
As we see on the other side, just really quickly, Neon's turned one of the Lunars into a... we'll just really quickly say that the Lunars seem to have a weakness. They cast a spell called Breath, and if you reflect it back towards them, they turn into frogs and become quite easy points. So it's definitely fun to see. I can't remember off the top of my head who pioneered this strat, but before Free Enterprise, nobody knew about that. So definitely fun. We do see back with Baka. Unfortunately, has poured him down in an edge down, but seems to have decided just to settle in, have two edges go at it, Cure 3 with Fu, and ride off to safety.
Yeah, seems like he's got things pretty well under control here.
Yeah, it's not going to be the fastest fight, but a win is a win anytime, as you can see. Safety sometimes trumps speed in this game.
I like how the chat is also coming up with some other Free Enterprise themed drinks. This could be a thing that we just started here, Nitz, or you just started, I should say. Uh-oh, and now Baka's maybe not looking so hot all of a sudden here. Must have taken a unfortunate Big Bang there.
And unfortunately, both of his edges are berserk, so he's really hoping for that black hole at this point. Like any time now. Anytime now, Yeti, it would be great. No, don't. No,
And it just takes the reset.
And I will just take a minute while Baka rearranges his team there. Just to let you know that Zilch has finished in 8th place with a time of 1:23:44, and Salty Fry finishing in 9th place with an SRL time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 19 seconds. So GG to both of them in the race.
Yeah, GG's. Everybody kind of finishing very clustered here at the front. A lot of people putting up some good times here. So a lot of convergence in the first part of these finishes here. So that's really good to see. Means everybody's doing a good job.
Absolutely, absolutely. As we see, Neon for the fans, I believe, is going to go with the 17 of 17.
Do you see that twin harp in Neon's inventory? Maybe we will still get some music tonight. Come on, Neon, give the fans what they want.
Yep. As we see Baka come back in, I think he rearranged his characters just a little bit there. Having edge in the middle sometimes is a blessing and a curse. So
yeah, you really got to watch those. You got to really pay attention for the Zeromus fight. Quite a bit of research has gone into that from a lot of different members of the Free Enterprise community. We just know quite a bit about the ways to make this fight most successful, and a lot of it is based on the agility of that middle character.
Those scientists who figured out the seedless watermelon, we took them to task and said, you beat seedless watermelon, now let's see if you can give us the optimal charactering for our Zeromus fights. And a quick Bacchus there. And we'll definitely see what happens there. Again, let's take this minute here to shout out our restreamer definitely give her a follow. Smeepity behind the scenes, clicking on the buttons, showing you who's got what on the tracker. And to my amazing commentator, Moonblaze Wolf, appreciate you coming out and supporting all of us here on a Friday night.
Absolutely, Nitz. This has been fun, and I appreciate you as well. We got a really good one. Especially if you're a fan of ninjas, the sea did not disappoint tonight. So,
yeah, and also shout out to the runners. Without them taking their time to volunteer, none of this is possible. So again, make sure you drop them all a follow. Neon Gray, Baka Shinobi, Simbu, and Night Dew. They definitely deserve your support. And a follow is always free, and they will all definitely appreciate the support, I'm sure.
So we got Baka going into a big bang here, and you'll notice kind of like that first fight that Simbu did, a little bit underleveled maybe relative to what we normally see in the Zeromus fights. So, you know, those big bangs that Zeromus throws down when they're at full power are gonna do 2,000 to 2,200 damage for at least a few of them. And so if you've got characters that are right on that borderline without a lot of magic defense, that is sometimes the recipe for disaster. So we'll see if he can make it through this time, because it's not a gimme for sure.
No, definitely not. It's really unfortunate that our runners in general just weren't able to find better edge swords, because edge could really do some work here, like 4K plus. But you see one like 1,800, 2,000, 2,600. Not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but just need that little bit more just to push him a little bit further in regards to that.
Indeed, yeah. That was something we kind of pointed out earlier. Like, it's great that you get duplicates of this amazing character, but you still gotta equip him with good stuff. And unfortunately with Edge, most of his high-end weapons are of that rarity where you're really not gonna find them unless you happen to be opening trap chests or stumble across one as a random boss reward that's not a key item. So it can be a little bit slim pickings when you get to the end like this.
Exactly, since in the vanilla game, the Masamune and the Thami are part of the Moon Boss, so definitely hard to find. Like even a ninja sword would have helped them out a little bit in regards to that.
Yep. So make and do with what you got, but it's a little bit of a hard to spread that damage around to make it as effective as you might find it in other configurations.
Neon Gray continuing with their 17-17 push with a package from Tower Key. So
got some pretty solid efficiency here going on with the. Gotta say, sometimes it's just one of those things with the randomizer where follow the right paths or it doesn't work out, but at the end of the game you get this amazing assortment of key items to choose from, and you know, you get a lot of satisfaction out of all the work that you did.
Absolutely. We're gonna see Val here in Dwarf Castle. Should not be a problem for Neon here in regards to that. Seems to be going a little more textbook for Baka second time around here. All of his characters are still up and running, still berserk, still doing some damage, so I don't anticipate any problems. So
yeah,
far at this point,
just needs to keep those hit points up, and I imagine he'll be able to finish trouble.
Absolutely. Between Palom's Cure 3 and Fu's Cure 4 there, at this point I'm not anticipating any. You never know. Zeromus could still do that, give you a black hole, just become annoying. Could throw a large powered big bang, but definitely not a problem there, as Neon is through the Val fight on their side, and they're playing against everybody's favorite, your favorite, my favorite, actually nobody's favorite.
I think Neon is going to be pretty happy to see a Fusoya here, though, so at least there's going to be that as a consolation prize.
absolutely. The question is, it's a full-powered Fusoya, Neon. What are you gonna do?
Decisions.
What do you think, chat? You think Fusoya's going in the trash? Edge in the trash.
I actually really like that play, and again, it kind of gets back to what we've been talking about. You know, you can kind of concentrate your equipment and things like that. So I think that's totally reasonable. And meanwhile, Baka finishes it up here with a dart.
Swag for the fans, Baka Shinobi. Taking down Yetimus, finishing in an official SRL time of 1 hour, 34 minutes and seconds. 11th place. In the interim, Flurry 14 finishing in 10th. Just before with a time of 1:31:24. GG to them. And I believe we have Baka in the studio
Hello.
for the interview. Baka, GG to you and congratulations.
Thank you.
What did you think of the seed?
I think I should have done Baron Castle sooner.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was like one of the last things I did on the Earth. I did the landed some of the monster bosses before I did Baron Castle, and that was definitely a mistake. That was going to be much faster just to do Baron Castle and Odin before trying to do those two moon bosses.
It's tough. Hindsight's always 20/20 with stuff like that because it's a couple bosses. It's a long walk to a pot that may or may not have anything in it at the end. But unfortunately, yeah, in this seed it did hold a darkness crystal, and really because of where the sirens were located on the moon, basically just opened up all your grind options. So we noticed you basically trying to figure out a good strategy for grinding there once you had the crystal, and it's just it was a kind of a tough position to be put in.
Yeah, I forgot to go and if I saw Ether 2s, I forgot to mark where they were. Otherwise, I probably would have just stuck with doors, but it was going to be ugly, but I think it was going to be ugly no matter what.
Yeah,
Sure.
when you're in that situation where you don't have yet, you don't have sirens, you don't have the darkness crystal, yeah, you're pretty limited, and we noticed you kind of making the best of the situation.
Yeah, I figured the lunar bosses were actually a good choice just because they'd get some experience as well. Then two lunars just kept wrecking me, so I decided to go for Moonveils and eventually managed to get up there once I got one of them a toad and blew up the other one. But that was definitely a lot of time that was invested that didn't pay out, and I keep forgetting about the Witchburn flag. And that was a bit more panic.
It was a pretty amusing Witchburn this time because it was like a very, very small nuke as opposed to a mega nuke. So
Yeah, it was a very, very gentle nuke, and then I nuked myself because I forgot that Wyvern puts up wall. Because, I figured he needed a little help.
Indeed.
Absolutely, that happens sometimes. So lots of edges and no edge.
Yeah, there was the one Masamune, or Murasame I found, and then those Mute Daggers I wanted to get turned out to be a great investment because they just carried me through the rest of the game.
They absolutely did. It was just funny. We were lamenting the fact that there was so much edge and so little gear.
Yeah. I also couldn't remember if Ninja Swords showed up in T3 chest, but it just felt like such a long shot to keep looking for them.
yeah, I believe you can find Ninja Sword, but in shops, which we saw a lot of people checking shops. The best you can hope for is a longsword, and I don't even think we saw anybody find longswords.
Yeah, I meant to check in Dwarf after I got lucky with Fusoya having warp to warp glitch that, but just exited out instead, then never went back.
That was definitely a high point of the stream because you were actually the first person to find Fusoya in Dwarf Castle, and of course we're just immediately going, oh, does he have warp? Does he have warp? Because you don't know that right away. But it was pretty funny then, when he did.
Yeah, I imagine some people were concerned when I decided to start walking out to get the key item and then warp.
I was one of them actually, and I felt pretty foolish about it after. So you showed me that there are multiple ways to warp glitch today, sir.
I'm lazy. I don't feel like walking through that door again if I don't have to.
No,
And
I've seen it both ways. So definitely good GG to you for that.
Yeah, I also forgot to go and warp glitch in my practice seed, so I tried to make extra certain to do that. I see that if I found the Earth Crystal, I could have had a 5-edge team and gone straight for those memes.
You could have. There were 5 edges available for the fans. Fortunately, we had Simbu had a quad Zerker and Nightdew had tri Zerker edge, so no Quint
Yeah.
Zerker, sadly.
Yeah, I decided to keep Form as an anchor, and it was just... Who was the character on the moon? I'm out of curiosity. Did anyone check?
I was Yang, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Not a lot of action for the non-melee types, I would say, in this one. So
Yeah,
I think
that was
everybody pretty much ended up with 3 melee characters and some combination of Porum and Fusoya.
Yeah, Forum did more work than I was expecting with the just having Berserk early and berserking everyone. But it was definitely an odd seed with being 2 characters for a good portion of it. Or 2
Yeah.
different types of characters.
Yeah, I mean, and that was one of the things we discussed kind of at the outset. Just you've got this interesting flag, the C5, with dupes enabled, so a lot of it's going to really depend on not only which 5 characters you get, but also which ones you get early on or are on your path, because this is probably the most extreme I imagine this would get, but you could certainly end up with something like 4 or 5 edges, like I'm sure some people did, and you could have the exact same 5 character configuration and end up with 4 Porums or 3 Porums and 2 Yangs or something like that. So
Yeah, of all the characters to go and have lots of in the seed, I'm glad we at least had Edge, because having 5 forms would have been a bit harder.
I thought at the beginning it might end up being that way, but thankfully the game wasn't that troll.
Yeah, it bailed us out and gave us food to go and clear more stuff.
yeah, it definitely got everybody to the end without anything too rock. If anything, people were struggling with the question of, okay, when do I go do Zeromus? Is it important for me to get the hit points on Porum to survive a full Big Bang, or do I just want to, keep my edges above that level? And it was interesting to see. So
Yeah, I really wish Forum learned Cure 4, because if she did, I was going to go and switch the Curse Ring to Fusoya and let her do the healing and just have him nerf Big Bangs, but just ran out of hourglasses, didn't prepare enough for the moon grind, and I just didn't feel like going through another really ugly gold twin King Ryu fight.
yeah, that's totally fair. You don't really have a lot of good tools in this case, so yeah. Any other thoughts on the seed? Was that enough ninjas for you?
So considering I had to pass one up, yes, but it hurt my soul terribly.
Well, GG to you. Thanks again, Baka, for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you during Free Enter, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yes, I'm not going to be able to make all of them, but I will be definitely planning on being in a few of them, if nothing else.
Well, perfect. Thanks again for volunteering. I know it's never easy to be part of a restream because you feel like you got the whole world watching you. So thanks again for doing that for us, because it's you guys who make this amazing. And without you, it's just Blaze and I just hanging out, talking shop. So thanks again.
Yeah.
No
And
problem.
nicely,
Thank you.
and nicely done again, considering the circumstances with the No Darkness Crystal. You actually do a really nice job managing the situation that you had there.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone on the Restream team, the trackers, and to both of you for commenting to make sure that this is something that people can watch and have a clue as to what's going on and why people are doing the crazy things they're doing, or why there are 3 ninjas on the screen.
Indeed. That's the stuff that makes this the most fun, actually.
Indeed, it's always fun getting those really weird, you're never going to have this in the vanilla game situations.
That is very true, yep.
It's
So, yeah, nicely done.
It's why I love this randomizer. It's always different every single time.
Oh yeah, it's always very different. Thank you both again, and have a nice evening.
You as well.
Two. And back to the action. Neon has the crystal now, so we're gonna see our fourth featured runner probably going for it here in pretty short order. If not, looks like they're getting set up for it right now, and gonna go ahead and give it a go here.
Yeah. I took a quick peek. Neon's levels are in the high 40s, so I don't anticipate any problems. Zormus can always be a bit of a jerk, but definitely levels look good, things look good. 4,000 HP Yang.
Heroin
Something-
robed melee Porum looks good.
Yeah. I feel like Fu's gonna do the healing and everyone else is just check stuff. Yeah, Neon's known for the quad Zerk. I'm sure they'd quit Zerk if Fu could actually do something.
Indeed. And yes, I'm being corrected in the chat. That is very true. Bows are not melee weapons, but we can still agree that they are going to do a lot of damage.
That's absolutely right, Zarek. Neon is known for quad Zerk and quint Zerk all over the place. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to end up.
Yeah, this should be a fun one. Nobody else has done the DPS Porum route yet, so.
No, exactly. And really quickly, while we were doing the interview there, Baka Crimson Avix finishing in 12th, a time of 1:35.14. Ikir, might be butchering that, with a time of 1:39.06. Quest for Workin finishing 14th with a time of 1:39.25. Dr. Cossack at 15th with a time of 1:39.58. Dark Kobold 16th with a time of 1:40.12, and Aizen Tayama finishing in a time of 1:41.22 for 17th. So if Neon plays their cards right, definitely 18th place on the line, and definitely whenever you can finish a seed, always a good feeling. So we see it transform, and I am just excited. I feel like Neon's just gonna hit Zerk, and then just maybe laugh at Yeti Miss here, and just put the controller down and see the hype.
I can just imagine the feeling of joy when giving that Bacchus wine to Porum, who I believe is definitely underage when it comes to drinking said Bacchus wine. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Thank you, Deborah, for answering. This was one of the sprites as part of the bid war. Unfortunately, I believe the Zelda one ended up winning that one bid war at GDQ. But Yetimus definitely does not disappoint, and I'm really happy that we're able to show it off here during our first Friday weekly race here on the Free Enterprise channel. Oh, the animals won. That's right. The animals always win. Thanks, guys. I didn't get to watch a lot of GDQ. I wasn't feeling great, so.
Well, for you or anybody else, and it's definitely worth going to watch that again and again and again. So.
I've been meaning to. Definitely.
It was a good race.
So we just see, as fully expected, Neon just waiting for that big bang to go off. Have Fu, Cask here 4, have Edge and Porum and the whole gang there just checking stuff. 3,000. What's not to love about that? Doing more damage than Edge. Come on, keep up.
Porum getting in there, having that value tonight.
Yes, these Bacchuses that Porum has been drinking are for novelty purposes only. Do not try this at home. These are trained professionals.
Unless you're Japanese, they don't have any effect on you anyway. Why they're these items.
Absolutely, they do. Responsible being have 50. No, I'm joking. Please, everybody, be super responsible. As you can see there, Yang says, you know what? Artemis bows, fancy swords. I'm just going to use my fists. 1, 2, 3,400 damage. Yeti, you don't scare me. So, definitely shows off that. Some people have told me that Yang is potentially the second best character in this game. So, maybe. And even Fu getting in on the action there. 72 damage.
Indeed.
Doesn't want to get shut out.
That's definitely a little bit of swag there from Neon with the Bacchus Fu. Nicely done.
Neon is for the fans and all about the swag. Now, if Fu can get the killing blow, that will be number one in my heart. That's for sure.
Improbable, but not impossible.
This is very true. Very true. But as you can see here, with the levels and party that Neon has, just jamming that Q and making it really hard for Yeti there to get a turn in. Can't even get a turn. And Fu is missing, but just the way that the game is programmed, you abuse the ability to slow down Zero Miss even more so, and you definitely see it here.
Fortunately, does get off another big bang, but Edge and Yang looking pretty safe to survive here. Even Fu hanging in there.
Yeah.
Putting down damage 101. Oh, and yeah, Porum got in one more shot before she goes down, unfortunately.
That's okay though. That's okay. Porum, you died for the greater good. And
there it goes.
Skips it all, and GG to Neon Gray. Excellent work. Finishing an official SRL time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 53 seconds. Excellent work, and I believe we have Neon in the chat now for the interview. GG, Neon.
Yes, thank you. You guys must have been screaming the whole time.
No, we enjoyed the grand, both the blue planet and the moon that you put us on. And honestly, at the time, Nitz and I both loved the play of the early moon. It looked like it was really going to pay off for you until we discovered that the crystal was on in Sheila's apron the whole time.
Yeah, I figured, no one else is likely to do the moon that early, so if it pays off there, then that'll be really good for me. And if it had been there, it would have been really good for me. Oops.
Well, and you were totally in a position to handle it, because once you got up there, you found those sirens, had Porum with that heroine robe and Artemis set up, so it didn't look like you were having any problems whatsoever. It's just unfortunate that that's not where the crystal was.
Yeah, and that's actually half the reason why I went up there so early, too. Just because, on the S2, that Hummingway shop has those essentials very often, so I'm like, I'll see if they've got sirens. If they do, I'll do a little grind, and then I'll start clearing the place out. And so, unfortunately, they did.
No, for sure. Definitely a tough one in regards to that. But I like the play as well. You definitely did. You made the right move. Unfortunately, just didn't work out the way.
Right move for the wrong seed, I think.
It would have been really interesting if it paid off, for sure. And then you got the you didn't get bogged down with having 3 or 4 edges like most of our racers did. So you actually had a pretty versatile party there at the end, and even Porum got in on the action there for the final fight.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see Fu because I discounted who I'd seen. I had spotted Sid in the bed. I thought, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 of them right there. And I'm like, so, and honestly, I was so thrilled to see him just because I like Edge a lot, but 3 under-equipped edges is not great.
I just wanted to say you missed out on having 5 potential edges, so it was a little sad.
I would love that on T4. T3, you know, I got a ninja sword for one of them. That was okay. I found an Excel to huck.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, you don't get quite nearly the arsenal on T3 as you do on T4. So it definitely worked out to your advantage to have a little more variety in your characters, I would say, at the end there.
Yeah, because, you know, I don't like relying on Porum. Like, I was pretty high leveled up there, and she did really well. Like, she even survived that big bang barely, but, you know, she just does not have the hit points. So if I can put her on to a different role in the fight, I would prefer to do that. So being able to do that, you know, and let her get in on the fun there too.
For sure, for the fans. Any final thoughts on the seed overall? How you did? We see you in Free Enterprise coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yes, I should definitely be around for the World Series. Otherwise, you know, I'm sorry I didn't cash in that Twin Harp. I thought about it, but at that point I was like, people are finishing. There's no way it's at this end of a moon chain. So
It's okay. It's okay. You gave us plenty of other good moments. We really liked your Baka Stuff Fu at the end there as well. So just everybody bringing it home with the battle animations, and you managed to beat it out. So well done.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, like gotta keep that queue clogged.
Absolutely.
Really perfect. I think that might be the end. That's the end of our restream here. Thank you so much, Neon Gray, for joining us for post-race commentary and interview. I think momentarily we're going to throw it over to Natara to wrap things up, unless you have something else to say, Moon.
I just want to encourage everybody again to, if you haven't already done so or are familiar with the randomizer, please check out the Discord, check out the website, ff4fe.com, and we will have more broadcasts coming up soon. We will have the Friday community races at the same time every week, and also beginning next week is the World Series of Free Enterprise. There'll be some qualifiers for that, followed by a final table the week after that. So, and some of that will also be broadcast on this channel. So lots of exciting stuff coming up here on the Free Enterprise Twitch channel, and always a lot of fun stuff and exciting stuff happening in Free Enterprise land on the Discord.
There definitely is. And with that, we are going to clue up for the evening. Thanks again to everyone, for the runners, the commentators, the trackers. They have all been linked in the Discord, so please give everyone a follow. They've worked very hard today. We are going to clue up, and as was mentioned by Moonblaze, we do have our next race is going to be Monday. Monday night is our 9:30 p.m. Eastern is our Monday community race, and that will be on one of the Randomania channels. And we will be starting our World Series of Free Enterprise qualifier races. Those will be occurring at 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Time on both Saturday and Sunday. So definitely come and check those out. I believe at least some of those, if not all of them, will be restreamed here on the Free Enterprise channel. But definitely keep an eye on the Discord, and we will make sure to let you know where to find all of those races. That being said, we are done. So thanks so much for coming out, and we'll definitely see you again next Friday right back here at Free Enterprise in order to run that weekly race. Feel free to join us if you like this. Bye everybody!